New American Liberty League. Listen, I know I don't have the face for videos or the voice for podcasts, so to both of you that are going to see this, I'm sorry. I am Daniel Leonardo Hernandez D. Hearn. This is my son, Emil Alexander Hernandez, in whom I am well pleased. What we got in the notebook today, the big idea, the big topic, we're going to get into the founders just a little bit since we're going into Independence Day. In the news, of course, we always got to go over the presidential race and this debacle of a debate that we just had. After that, we're going to get into money, of course. And listen, have you been listening to the show and following the money section? You have done very well for yourself. So
amazing.
Trust me, you're going to want to stay for the money part. We're not professionals,
but we're pretty good.
You're going to want to stay for the money part. And after the you know what? I don't want to call it the money part no more. Let's call it the capitalist part, the capitalist pig part. After the capitalist pig section, we're going to move on to life, and we're just going to talk a little bit about what we're doing for July 4th, and we'll just talk a little bit about the July 4th celebration. So now we're going into Independence Day. We're going into the 4th of July. I want to talk about the founders. And of course, these men, all the signers, all the founders, all the revolutionaries of that generation and even before, all these people deserve their own show. So we could deep dive and get into their amazing lives and stories. Like I said, they all deserve a show.
And we're going to do a show about some of them in the future.
We will.
Planning on it.
Yes. So we'll get into some of the big names and things like that first. But there's, just with the education system and we live in the information age, and people have the least information they've ever had somehow. So there's two. I guess they can't both be considered founders. One was kind of pre-founder. One was a founder in that generation. There's two names. When you get outside of the big names and the no name, the mainstream names, there's two men that stick out to me and Emil. Two of our favorites that we think are very underrated, very underappreciated in American society today. These people should be much more known. Go ahead, Emil. Get into it. Who are we talking about?
The two people that we're talking about, one is named John Locke, and the other one is named Thomas Paine. Now, John Locke is the one that happened a fair bit before the Revolutionary War. Like, most of its main writings came somewhere around 100 years pre-war, but it still inspired a lot of founders, notably Thomas Jefferson. The idea where Thomas Jefferson gets the idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness actually came from John Locke. His version of this was life, liberty, and property. And obviously Jefferson just replaced property with happiness because they likely tie in together. And he also believed in other things. He believed at birth we have natural rights, which you could argue correlates to the Bill of Rights, which later came. And then Thomas Paine, I think, really fits with the major topic of today's show because he wrote the Common Sense papers, which was one of the first major writings saying that we have got to split away from Britain. And at the time, that must have taken such courage in understanding that he was likely to be imprisoned, thrown in jail, beaten, possibly killed. But he realized somebody has to do it. Somebody has to make this statement. And the statement blew up. There was like 500,000 copies sold or something like that. And yeah, that was a major thing that led to the revolution.
Was he I could be wrong on this. Was he give me liberty or die?
I'm not sure if he was the Give Me Liberty.
Not sure. I think it was. We'll have to look back into that. But so picking up from that point, so Paine, he's the one that realized the time for picking sides was over. He's the one that realized it was the time for violence.
Yeah, he believed it was the time to split up, either peacefully or if Britain tried fighting us, we have to resort to violence. He believed every major problem going on in the country was due to Britain, pretty much.
And one of the reasons that I have grown to appreciate him so much is I believe that's where I'm at. I mean, this nation, whether it's the government, whether it's the left, whoever the enemy is, I believe this nation has to split. I'd love to see it peaceful, but it's going to happen peaceful or otherwise. And I think whether it's through violence or through peace, if you want to save this republic,
we have to split.
You have to split. And this is why the founders, and like I said, we could get into the names: Washington, Jefferson, Franklin. Franklin might be a little different. He was more of a different diplomat, but Hamilton, the Adams, Hancock, all the big names that we know. What made these men so amazing is that these men were rich, wealthy, powerful, influential. Had they just shut up and went along and got along, they would have had great lives. Mm-hmm. They had great lives to this point. But
Minus Hamilton.
Oh, Hamilton wasn't rich, but yeah.
Yeah, for the most part.
Most of the founders had great lives. But they were willing to sacrifice those lives, put those lives on hold, even sacrifice their lives for the belief of freedom, for the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. For that belief, they believed in something so much, they sacrificed comfy lives, and they were willing to give up their lives. And
they were willing to have their names tarnished in the history books, too. Their whole reputation would have been down the drain if they lost the war. Which they were likely to lose.
Yep.
Yeah. They were a big underdog going into that war.
I mean, of course. At the time, Britain was the greatest army ever. And, it's crazy. There's this one story I love to hear about Washington's vision. It's this vision he had. And there's speculation of this. Supposedly, he made small references to things about it, but never went all out and wrote about his vision. But there was soldiers that reportedly he told and talked to about it, that through oral tradition kind of spread it. He had this vision of an angel coming to him, calling him son of the Republic. Look and learn, and then showed him future events of America and why it was so important for him to keep fighting. The details of this are a little sketchy to me. It's been a while since I read it, but that's something I would love to go over at one time. And these there should not be an America right now. This is divine. This is, these men, this country is divine. There's no other way to put it.
They also, talking about sacrifice and having their names tarnished in history books, they also set up a government which pretty much had never been tried before. They came up with a whole entirely new concept foreign to what everyone else has tried, and was like, you know what, we're putting all of our backing into this. We're just not going with the grain. We're trying something totally new.
Yep.
And something that didn't give them a lot of power, which is when people have revolutions, what is the first thing they do? They put themselves in power. Well, what they did was they gave the power to the people.
Yep. And that, that just shows how amazing these men were, especially Washington. He was the one that could have had it all.
He could have been a king.
Could have been a king. They wanted him to do a third, fourth, fifth term. The man, one of the people that reminds me of Washington later on, and this is another man I would love to do a show on, is Calvin Coolidge. Because one of the main things when I fell in love with Calvin Coolidge, I read a statement, I don't remember the exact wording, but it was somewhere along the lines that part of the reason he wanted to be president was to limit the power of the executive branch. And when I heard that, it reminded me much of Washington. And just the system of, like he said, the system of government, these ideas, personal property, private banks, all these, the republic they set up for us was absolutely beautiful. So going into the 4th, remember this about the founders. These men had balls. These men had courage. These men made a great sacrifice for us, for freedom. And if they were, maybe they do, if they see America today, they're not going to be disappointed in our government. They gave us warning after warning that it was going to become overbearing. Mm-hmm. They won't be disappointed in the left, the globalists, the Democrats. They told us a not moral people could not sustain the republic. They saw the Democrat Party coming. Who they would be disappointed in is us. Mm-hmm. It's us. It's the people that consider themselves patriots. It's the people that don't take the founders and the founding for granted. It's the people that don't take this beautiful nation for granted and our freedoms for granted.
But we still do nothing when our freedoms are taken away from us. One of my favorite quotes related to this topic is, I believe it's Jefferson. The quote of, "The tree of liberty must be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots." And the "and patriots" is the very important part of that we leave out. A lot of times in that quote, the "and patriots" is left out. We have to do something. We can't just complain. We have to get out and actually do something instead of just complaining about stuff.
And whatever it is you do, do it more. Now, I know it's still disappointing. I disappoint myself. Look, I make Facebook posts and we make videos. That's cool. Make 100 more. Reach more people. If you go to local commissioner meetings, go to more. If you give speeches at your church, like our friend Rick Kuiper just did at our church, calling us out, do more of it. Whatever it is you do more. Emil has talked about us going to and maybe even starting local protesting, and we've been to a few.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you do more. Be more vocal. The worst thing you could do, and this is one thing that drives me crazy about our side, the worst thing you could do is be a quiet pushover. Oh no, I don't want to speak. I don't want to cause trouble. And I know it's in our nature because we like to mind our own business. And we want to mind our own business, and we want other people to mind their own business. It's not in our nature to be vocal, to be seen, to cause a scene. But
if you see something wrong happening, when you see something wrong and you're silent and you do nothing, doing nothing in that situation is doing something in itself, because you had the opportunity to do something and you chose not to. So when you're looked back on in history, you're going to be looked at as being in the wrong side of history.
Yep. And just go back to a million examples during World War II. Our side is who the founders would be the most disappointed in. What we consider patriots today would be unrecognizable to these people that sacrificed so much, to these people that understood the difference between it's time to change minds, pick sides, and play politics, and it's time for violence. We, unfortunately, would be the ones disappointing them. And look, happy Independence Day. Celebrate it. It's, other than the holy days, this is my favorite holiday. It should be celebrated 10 times more than it is. The founders should be celebrated 10 times more than they are. And we should celebrate freedom instead of taking it for granted 10 times more than we do. Mm-hmm. Emil, let's get into, you got anything you want to add to that?
No, not really. I think it's crazy that Pride gets a whole month when Independence gets a day, though.
Yeah. Sponsor this half hour, It's a really, really good friend of ours. A friend of mine named Blake. Him and his family started a great restaurant. Listen, Philadelphia, let's face it, they got the Eagles, the Sixers. They threw batteries at Santa Claus. What a disgusting city. But even Dallas Cowboy fans like myself love Philly cheesesteaks. And Fly by Phillies has the absolute best. You want to support a good local business, a good local family, and have a good cheesesteak?
Their food
with Fly by Phillies. Now, sponsor this half hour of Fly by Phillies. But let's get into some news, Emil. The presidential race, that's going to dominate the news till November. There was a debate. First of all, we put on the greatest post-debate analysis ever within 5 minutes of the debate being over. We told you on the New American Liberty League, the shows, the page, we told you what to look for, what was coming, and why they were doing the debates early. And
we literally predicted that whole debate the episodes before, pretty much.
Months before. We knew what was coming. We knew what was coming the moment we heard they wanted the early debate. It was going to be for one or two reasons. What were your first, real quick, of the debate itself, not the aftermath, what were your impressions while you were watching the debate? What did you think of Trump? What did you think of Biden?
Yeah, my first impressions were actually wrong, slightly. Which, most of it was right. But I thought Biden looked bad. I thought Trump didn't do incredible, but he did good enough to look better than Biden. I thought Biden looked like a corpse, but I didn't think it was enough for the Democrat Party to want to throw Biden out. This is the part that I got wrong. I did not expect so much infighting to be in the Democrat Party. And now, a week later, or a few days later, we now can see there's a lot of infighting in the Democratic Party going on because of that debate.
Yeah, I think that infighting was already happening. You have your fraction of the left. Now, whoever it is, who is the deep state? Like I said, we don't know, but there's a lot of people that have the Bidens on their payroll. And it looks like right now, falling into maybe the category of one of the worst, most selfish first ladies in history. There's been a few. But falling into that category right now is Jill Biden. She's a disgusting human. Her, Hunter, and the family, and whoever is already has the Bidens in their pocket.
Likely foreign.
A lot of foreign,
well.
probably a lot of American interests as well. But these people are powerful, and they're pushing to keep the corpse and the puppet there. Don't get me wrong; they have other corpse and puppets lined up, but they've already made their investment. They already know this man and his family will do whatever they want, and there is a strong push to keep Biden there. I think that was before the debate, and the debate wasn't going to change it no matter what. There's also the part of the deep state of the Democrat Party that can't wait to replace the corpse. And like I said, I think Emil's instincts were right. I think that there wasn't enough there in that debate to cause so much infighting. I think the infighting was there before the debate, and the debate was going to be used by both sides, no matter what it looked like. And the first 15 minutes of that debate, the corpse showed up. I don't know if the Adderall took a while to kick in. I don't know what happened, but
it was just a cold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Benadryl. Yeah. You know, he's sharp as a tack. Behind closed doors.
Right on point.
On point every time. He's a corpse. Everybody knew he was a corpse before this debate. If you did not know he was a corpse before this debate, you get all your news from The View. And Joe Biden herself writes you weekly newsletters.
Or don't look at the news at all.
Or you
One thing that I think caused a little bit of the infighting is I don't think they expected as many people to watch the debate as they did. I've had people that have never once talked about politics with me before.
Said your friend
My
Sid.
friend Sid, we were actually just talking today, And he was like, man, did you watch the debate? He was like, how can that guy be our president? He can't get a sentence out. And
Jill, from the inside, I think Jill, Hunter, and whoever is paying off the Bidens has been running that administration since day one. Everybody who knows anything, this debate should not have been nothing new to anyone. We knew this in 2020. This dude's a corpse. And look, Trump is so aggravating to watch in a debate because he's not a true conservative.
He could have done so much better.
Could have done so much better. It's hard. He's great with groups. I heard he's great one-on-one. He's great on TV. But in that setting, it's not his comfort zone. He's not a true to the core conservative. These things don't just flow off the tongue for him. There were so many times he could have knocked it out of the park, and he just didn't. But he had some good moments when he was explaining the gas prices and inflation and everything on January 6th. That was a good moment. Later in the debate, Biden said that there's like 100,000 trillionaires in America, and in his head, and Trump said, I have no idea what he just said, and he doesn't know what he just said. That was a good moment. So
that was my favorite thing that he said, and I think he should have kept hammering that home.
Yeah.
And also, when Biden got personal, Trump also should have got personal back, in my opinion.
Which is easy to do against Biden. Listen, you were taking showers. What happened to Ashley's diary? You were showering with your teenage daughter, dude. That's nasty. You're a nasty guy.
15 and 16, that's crazy.
And this is not hearsay. This woman wrote this in her diary. The man's daughter. Dude, your son is a crackhead. That's a deadbeat dad.
That's getting millions from China.
Millions.
Known getting millions.
You are corrupt garbage. I don't feel sorry. Don't feel sorry for this old man. For 1 second, feel sorry for this piece of trash or his family.
Even the stuff going on with Jill kind of running the show, you have to think about how Biden has probably treated that woman, how Biden has treated his daughters and his sons.
And now he's getting it
Now
back.
he's getting the payback.
But the thing is the whole family's garbage.
Oh yeah, the whole
family's trash.
Yeah.
The
comparison, if you look, this is why I think Trump should have got personal. Trump could have mentioned how his family looks versus how Biden's family looks. And the optics of that alone, it says it all.
It's done. I mean, there was 20 years of Biden touching and smelling every little girl he's around. Like, where is this story? And this is not new. We knew this, and there's videos of him pinching some little girl's nipple. The girl had to be like 8, and this is not doctored. It's obvious the girl's 8.
Yeah.
And this was before 2020.
These stories disappeared. Like, the news lets it disappear. Not just Democrat news, Republican news.
Disappointed in us because we let him off the hook. Exactly. Yeah. So he, I think he did that on purpose. I think they told him to look more presidential, to look less fiery. So maybe he saw that opportunity and kind of let it slip. But the opportunity was definitely there. And maybe Trump shouldn't have to get personal. We, the right-wing media, is the New American Liberty League the right-wing media?
Yeah.
I think we are the most important voice. I mean, like 40 people hear us.
Yeah.
But we are the most important voice in right-wing media, let's face it. Because what we say seems to be echoed weeks later, months later, sometimes years later. Listen, it's our job to get personal. Trump shouldn't have to. Let him look presidential. These are stories we should not let up and constantly hammer. Trump also got some good news this week with the Supreme Court ruling. A lot of details in there, but pretty much he has immunity for presidents, have immunity for a lot of things, and it's kind of just verifying those certain things. And a lot of his sentencing and cases and everything have been pushed back now because of that. I didn't think these cases were going anywhere anyway. I knew they were going to help him. I knew his mugshot would end up on T-shirts and mugs and everything. I knew that was going to be great for him, and it has been. Never thought those were really going anywhere.
There's a second Supreme Court ruling, which we don't have to talk about for a long time, but I think it's worth mentioning. The one that gave cities and states the right to do whatever they want with homeless people.
That's right. The
Even
right to
moving-
handle it. The right to
Yeah.
handle it how they see fit, which is obvious.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a federal
Right.
thing.
Other news, and I love this story. The only thing I don't love about this story is, let me lay it out first. Gay Democrats, so all Democrats, Democrats, gays, were so pro Hamas and at every Hamas rally, and they hate Israel, and they were there for the Hamas Democrats, the Hamas supporting Democrats. They were there. Well, at the end of June, Gay Month, and all the gay parades, whatever happened to Eli Porter? Anyway, in all the gay parades across the nation, in some of the big cities, these Hamas Democrats, the Hamas supporters, were protesting the gays and stopping the gay parades. And that is a beautiful thing to watch. It's a beautiful thing to watch. The only thing that drove me crazy about it, and when you see the videos, it's these pride parades are constantly filled with children. Every video I saw from every city, it's like they can't wait to bring their kids around this in it. And I mean,
they can't. It's some sort of mental thing.
They have to. They have to push it on these kids. It's so weird. And listen, I'm done calling anything Pride Month. I'm done calling it a Pride Parade. This shit is gay. All right. And listen, if you're a man, if you're born with man parts, if you're a man, a boy, whatever you want to be, there is balls. Another person's balls should never touch any part of your body, not your knee, not your elbow, not your face area, not your balls. If you should never be proud. There's nothing to be proud of with another pair of balls touching you.
Just keep it in the bedroom. You don't have to tell everyone.
Yeah. First of all, don't be proud of it, and if you like said balls, shut up about it. So anyway, Gay Month is over.
There is one thing I actually want to mention while we were on the topic. You talked about how there's more Democrat infighting with Hamas going after these gay Democrats.
Mm-hmm. Democrats.
So that just makes me think, do you think all this infighting in the Democrat Party will affect the election at all? Or do you think somehow they're trying to use this infighting for something else? What exactly are your thoughts on this? Or do you think they'll all rally back together for the election?
I think at the end of the day, Democrats vote blue.
No matter who?
Most.
Yeah.
So, but it's still an interesting... Democrats don't care about nothing. All they care about is socialism. They care more about that party than anything else. That party is the government, and that party is who they worship. It is their religion. So they'll put that party above everything. But it is, man, the thin line that these Democrat politicians have to walk now between pushover Jews and Hamas, between gays and Hamas, the Hamas voters. Like, they are, man, there is such a thin line.
I'm surprised Joe took the support of Israel in that debate.
He did. It seemed like he did.
He was trying to. I mean, his policies don't seem like it, but...
I mean, they got to realize they're bleeding Jewish voters and they're bleeding Jewish money.
Yeah.
And that's big. So those Democrat politicians coming this election, they got a very thin line to walk. But at the end of the day, it is that the Democrat Party is Democrats' religion.
I think
they'll come around.
I think what's going to happen with all the infighting is I actually think a big portion of the people that are trying to get Joe Biden kicked out of office right now. I mean, yeah, they're going to rig the election, so it won't matter either way. But I don't think...
You think they want it to look bad for Biden?
I don't think they'll show up to vote. If they run Biden, I don't think a big portion of the people that want him kicked out are going to show up to vote.
I could see that. So they're not going to necessarily run to Trump, but they're not going to show up. I think a lot of that's going to be seen in the black vote.
Yeah.
I think as long as it's Biden who runs and they don't jump in with Big Mike or Kamala, as long as one of those two don't replace Biden, as long as it's Biden, I think there will be a much higher Republican turnout amongst Black Americans. But I think the higher turnout is going to be Black Americans that stay on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
So, just some interesting things to watch for. Another really bad look for society, but man, she blew up. She's in the news, so we have to talk about her. Do we have to talk about her? The Huktua?
No, that's not.
No, we're not gonna. No, we're not gonna waste our time with Huktua.
That did blow up though as a meme.
Yeah, fake sponsor this half hour of the internet. The internet. If you're battling headaches, arthritis, financial problems, car problems, most of all relationship problems, give it that Huktua and spit on that thing. Fixes everything. Fake sponsor this half hour, the internet. Let's get into some capitalist things, Emil. First of all, Lightbridge. Last episode, we mentioned and I said it was going to be, I didn't know if it was going to be tomorrow or 5 years from now, 15 years from now. Well, since the episode 2 weeks ago, it's up 80%.
You would have nearly doubled your money if you bought into this.
So, like I said, we're not financial advisors.
But we will make you rich.
Yes, I now wipe my ass with $100 bills. So no more toilet paper in this house.
I blow my nose with Benjamins.
Benjamins, straight. We don't need them no more. It's hilarious at this point. Listen, Emil, we're going into Independence Day, American. Is there any... We don't even have to talk about their stocks necessarily. I just want to hear what are some fundamentally American, old American companies. When you think of old American companies, and I'm not talking about getting back to the Rockefeller days and Carnegie days and J.P. Morgan. I'm talking about you know the companies that are still around. What are some names that come to your mind?
Ford has got to be the first one. When you think like just American companies, Ford is the first thing that comes to my mind. They also have a good stock that in the long run will do well.
Good dividend.
I think, even though you mentioned not the Rockefellers, I think if you're aiming to make money, oil is always a good buy. Oil's trajectory will always go up in the long run.
No matter who's in office.
This is...
Does good with both parties.
More of a modern one. But Walmart just had that split, which we called, by the way. It's up 20% since we called it. But I predict it'll still go up. Yeah, do you have...
Levi, Coca-Cola. Levi, I think, has been around since the 1800s. I'm not sure how much movement there is in their stock, but, I mean, you know, like I said, we're not talking stocks, just American companies. You got to think Levi, Coca-Cola. I got...
Oh, Microsoft and Apple are modern day ones.
Microsoft and Apple, those are, now pretty American. They've been around for 40 years-ish.
Yeah.
Boeing, even though they're down right now, they're a great American company. Trust me, you could dump money into Boeing. They're not going nowhere.
They're too tied in with the government.
Too tied in. There's two old American companies that I really love, and I love their stocks, especially if Trump were to win. Kodak, yes, Eastman Kodak. Just take my word for it. And Westinghouse. Yes, Westinghouse. Tying back into the conversation we had on energy stocks, Westinghouse has a whole division for nuclear power. The name of the company is not Westinghouse, though. They were bought by a company called Brookfield. Brookfield Limited Partnership or something. Bought them for $10 billion or something. Stock symbol, is that BBU or BBA?
BBU.
BBU. That's their stock symbol. So if you want to invest in nuclear energy, a good American company like Westinghouse, we're going back to the 1800s there again. BBU is how you invest in them.
And for Kodak, it's KODK.
That's amazing how you could read my writing.
Yeah.
So that's money. We're not going to get into too much other things. Just some good American companies.
One thing I will say is I think no matter who wins this next election, the stock market is likely to have a little bit of a downturn. If it's Biden who wins the election, I think they have no reason to stay forging the numbers. And if it's Trump who's winning the election, they're going to want the economy to look bad, so they're going to stop forcing the numbers. But I don't think that'll necessarily be for long, but the market is going to make a correction, I think, no matter what.
I think if you get Trump in there cutting taxes and cutting regulation again, I think that correction is a lot faster. I think if somehow the corpse or any other Democrat wins,
it may be dragged out.
It's going to be dragged out, but they have to stop playing with the numbers. Let's get into just some life, our new section of the show, life. Not really much to talk about. For the 4th, we're going this year to Savannah, one of my favorite cities. Just old. The history there is amazing. It's about 4 hours from Tallahassee, where we're at. Love the city. Love the people there. Love the ghost tours. Yeah, we're nerds.
You said there's a founding father there, right?
Yeah, there's all kind of history there. We've never been there for the 4th, so this is going to be the first time. I've been to some awesome cities. Obviously, Miami. The 4th, there's some places in Miami where you go and you're literally watching 8 fireworks displays at the same time. So Miami is a beautiful place, and the people. Very quietly, Miami is a very patriotic city. A lot of the people there, Cubans, but even a lot of the other people from around the world, they truly appreciate freedom. And
especially the older Cubans.
Especially the older Cubans, because they're not like us. They can't take it for granted. And Miami is really quietly a very patriotic town. You know what? Tallahassee is Tallahassee's
leftist, but not patriotic.
Tallahassee is so about almost everything.
Yeah.
But one of the coolest, craziest fireworks shows I've ever been to ever was in this little town. I don't even know if it's a town. I don't know what to call this place. But if you want to look up, the smallest town in Florida ever, look up a place called Shop Choppy. And I went to a 4th of July event that one time. It was crazy. Like, I think they were drunk shooting off fireworks and things were like barely missing people. I'm talking about like real fireworks. Like hot ash was just burning everyone. Babies and strollers are just like, you had to run everywhere to get out of the way from these fireworks. I swear it was like 12 drunk rednecks that never shot off these like real displays, not like some crap you buy from a Walmart parking lot. And it was like, it was amazing. It was actually amazing. So is there any cities that you would like to visit on the 4th that we haven't got to yet?
Well, some places up north. Every 4th of July so far that I've done has actually been in Florida. This will be my first one out of Florida. The most beautiful one that we've seen, in my opinion, had to have been Miami. We've seen one on the water. We were pretty much on the water watching fireworks shoot off. That was incredible. But I'd like to go up north, maybe be in one of the places where the founders written stuff or held congressional meetings.
I like to see. I like to go to Texas for a 4th too.
That would be pretty good.
I think that would be cool. You guys, any favorite destinations for the 4th? Where have you been? What are some places you would like to see? You guys are actually emailing me once in a while now, which is cool. We're trying to fit in some of those conversations as much as we can. Some of them are a little out there. But listen, support. Oh, also, before I get into that, another thing about life. My wife, she wants me to get back in shape. I want to get back in shape one day.
I try and get 6 packs.
We're trying to get 6 packs. No carbs. I tell her every day, no carbs. We're going to skip carbs for her. So she's like, yeah, baby, I miss your old body. Yeah, get back in shape. And then she made Tres Leches key lime pie cake. It's like if cake and pie had a baby. I don't know how she made this shit. But it was like, it's probably one of the most delicious things I've ever tasted.
It was fantastic. Yeah. One of the best desserts by far.
Yeah. I actually want to tie celebrating that into the 4th. Mm-hmm. So when we see some of those fireworks are dedicated to Tres Leches.
Every time I go to the fridge and I see it, it looks better and better.
Better every time. And I'm like, baby, you can't make this no more. And the minute we finished the last bite of one, I'm like, hey, can you make us another one?
Well, another plate, yeah.
Yeah, so we're putting abs off. We're putting abs off for me like another 7 or 8 years. All right.
Another thing in the life section, talking about abs. I have a race coming up
10K on the
July
4th. At Cascades in Tallahassee. Really, really nice place in Tallahassee if you haven't been.
So shout out to Coach Ray Sean. Shout out to Sid. Shout out to Gib. And on the 4th, let's win this race, baby. Let's do it.
You really think you're gonna? You think you guys are gonna?
Maybe. We'll see.
You've been eating a lot of Tres Leches lately.
Yeah.
Listen.
It's been looking a bit shaky recently.
Listen. Go to the Facebook page. Go to True Social. Go to Rumble. Go to the YouTube channel. Support the page. Support all your conservative friends, conservative media, conservative social media. We all got to support each other. We're going to start adding some more content. We're going to try to do a little more content between shows. We got a few interviews actually lined up and some things we're working on. So look for us to add a little bit of content between the 2-week episodes. And
it will likely turn into something, instead of being every other week, it may be more like once a week. We have an episode 1 week, then we have an interview, then we have an episode, then an interview.
Or something.
Something like that
for all 6 of you to enjoy. And we are the new American Liberty League.
Saving the Republic, one listener at a time.